Hi everyone, it's Nishtha here and welcome to our channel of Sips and Synopsis. Is it normal for me to spend my whole weekend reading about murders, manipulation, psychological torment and call it having a good time? So if you're one of them like me, you are going to enjoy this video because I'm so excited. I'm going to talk about my favorite thrillers. I'm going to recommend 5 of them which had absolutely blown me away when I had read them. Now, what's a good thriller when you think of one? So for me, good thriller is one that kind of hooks me from its first page. And as I'm reading through it, I'm just like, no way, no way, no way that is happening. And then finally, when I'm thinking, oh, I've got a grasp of it, I probably know what's going to happen next. And that's like, boom, no, plot twist. So here's me giving you 5 recommendations of good books that were one step ahead of my thinking, that kept me hooked, that kept me haunted, and that kept me hunting to know the actual truth. The first one is Look Closer by David Ellis. When you think about this book, think a domestic thriller, think of a cat and mouse chase, which is on a very high stakes level. So when you look at it from far away, we have our main characters Simon and Vicky, who are a married couple and who look like this highly polished Chicago suburban couple. But when you look closer, you will find that they're hiding much more. You have no idea what's going to come your way. So what you initially might think it's like a story of temptation, it's actually a mess of secrets and a mess of unreliable characters. And just when you think you have figured everything out, it's going to flip the board entirely and you realize, oh, I'm checkmated. As Tame Impala would say, the less I know, the better. It applies to this book. So if you're going into this book, I don't want to speak a lot about it because anything I say might be a spoiler. So the less you know about the book, about these characters, the better. Because when you're reading through it, your opinion about them is going to change so drastically. Like, be very careful about who you are rooting for in this book, because by the end of it, you have no idea how it's going to keep changing and how the point of views are totally going to be completely opposite, or maybe completely the same from when you started. The next one I'm going to talk about is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. Now, this book is a book which is going to grab you by the collar just when it starts, and it's not going to leave you till the last chapter. It's basically about this woman who is living in the middle of nowhere. I don't know why, sometimes people might want to do that. And then she leaves like this 1-star review of a self-publishing author, and then that's when things start getting out of hand. So this is an element of stalking that goes on, and it's much more than just an online spat. And this person might actually be in her room, and then it goes to a compulsively unsettling atmosphere, and you are just looking to have a breather, but you're not going to get one. So this is a high stakes novel. It's not a slow burn. It's going to keep getting into action right from chapter 1, and at the end of the last chapter, especially until the last word, literally in this book, it's going to be continuous high stakes game. What impressed me the most about this book, it's the ending. Like, often I feel like with thrillers, they start with a promising start and they even have a good middle game as well, but by the end, by the time they end the book and by the time you read the conclusion, you just feel a bit disappointed that all that for this. And this book, I felt it struck the landing just very crisply and just in a very satisfying manner, which is going to scratch your itch of reading a good thriller. So yes, it's compulsively readable, and now I'm a bit scared to say give 1-star reviews online because apparently that can lead to murder. Yeah, good to know. The next one I'm going to recommend is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. There are very few books that kind of intermingle aspects of dark, suspense, character development all together in a very harrowing manner, and this book nails it in that aspect. So the story is about these two estranged sisters and who have like long lost touch with each other, and it also follows something about their past. And then some event happens in the current time, and that is ultimately kind of linked to their past. And they had a third sister, and she went missing. So it's all intermingled together, and the story starts off about that, and then you come to learn to know about something which is happening in the current time and how it was connected years ago when this sister gone missing. So what ultimately like starts off like a family tragedy who's going through a lot, it gets into something much more twisted, something which is a lot more dark, and definitely more dark than I was expecting from a thriller. This book is, yes, it is gory at times. It also gets a bit difficult to read depending on the subject matter which it deals with, but I don't mind it at all. It's not graphic, so don't worry about that. Like, it's just conceptually it's dark and gore, but like in on paper they don't go into any details. I would say, like, don't put this book off just because it has dark aspects in it. I'm basically someone who's very picky with thrillers. Like, I read a lot of thrillers, but there are very few thrillers which I actually remember after a long time and I think like, oh my god, that was a book I've read. And this book is that because it has a good plot, check, amazing character development, absolutely, and then a dark twisted story which interweaves all of it together and it comes together by the very end of it. Complete check. This book can be actually made into a movie and it would work really well. It's written that well. It's a big book, but it reads very fast and it keeps you very engaged. And I mean, who said thrillers are supposed to be relaxing? No way. And just when I thought things couldn't get darker, I found my next read, which is like a slow burn revenge and you feel like waterboarded by emotions. It's called Confessions by Kine Minato. It's a translated literature from Japanese. Confessions is just not your everyday thriller. It's going to cut your punch. I'm telling you how the first chapter starts, and hopefully that will motivate you enough to read this book. Imagine you're in school, right? You're going to school and your school teacher comes in a class randomly one day and she tells you, you know guys what? I know who has murdered my daughter and I have already started planning my revenge. It's one of the most bone-chilling starting chapters that I have read. And starting from there, the story starts unfolding and it reads like interconnected monologues from different point of views and you don't know what to believe. And because the chapters, it's not linear, like it keeps going backward and forward in time. And then slowly unpeel the story layer by layer and explain different character motivations. The concept of revenge was so beautifully done in this book. And I love this book because this book was not about what, it was about the why of it. And it's very razor focused in its goal. It's not one of the book in which is directly going to spoon feed you everything. It's going to will show you and you will make your own inference about it. The motives are chilling, the psychology of it is rich, the revenge flavor added to it is, I feel it's one of the best slow burn revenge I have ever read. One thing I would like to say, it's more about a mood of it and less about twists and turns. So don't go into it thinking like, oh, it's going to give you a lot of twists and turns. It's more about the mood that this book is setting, and it's going to stay with you for a long time after you have read it. And not many thrillers will unsettle you the way this book is going to do, in a quite unlingering way. And the last book that I'm going to recommend today is What Lies Between Us by John Mars. This is about a mother-daughter relationship unlike any other. They are very intimate, they are uncomfortably close, and it's highly toxic. And by the end of it, you don't know who's actually holding this power, or rather, for this matter, the truth. So this book starts in a house with a dinner, a secret, and from there it starts to unravel a lot into the past, into the present, into toxicity. And as you keep reading, you don't know what to believe in this book. You don't know what to believe and you don't know who to believe. I feel like this is a psychological thriller which is done absolutely right. There's the correct amount of suspense in it, there's a correct amount of dread in it, and it keeps you guessing throughout. And I feel like the plot twists, they are there in this book, but it's not something which is like out of the world, you know. It's not there just for the shock value of it. I have read, like, believe me, I have read a lot of books. Like, I would say one of the authors who does this a lot is, who I don't like so much, is Alice Feeney. I feel like she puts in a lot of twists and turns in her books just for the sake of it, and by the end of that I was just like, this is not believable at all. Like, this doesn't really tie to the plot of the book. But in this book, it's all warranted, it's all needed, and it's all still going to shock you. If you love stories which is domestic, a little bit of claustrophobia, a little bit of toxicity as well, then you should go read this book, because what lies between them is literally lies. Yeah, I mean, murder in the household is common, right? Yeah, no big deal. So if you were looking for thrillers that are going to mess up with your head, make you want to keep guessing, and maybe be suspicious of everyone you love and around you, well, hopefully you have found one of them, or maybe even 5. So let me know your thoughts below in the comments on thrillers that have made you ruin your sleeps schedule. So we can probably continue this spiral on and I can get a few good reads because I am craving so much from this genre always craving a good thriller. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video because sharing is caring. Thanks for watching and trust no one, not even your bookshelf. Bye bye. Shivratri. Sleepless. Story. चलो भैया, टाटा, done.